So Miro, this week we learned that General Motors plans to cut thousands of jobs. Is this a problem isolated to General Motors, or could it possibly be a sign of a problem brewing with the industry?
You know, it's a problem brewing with the industry, especially U.S. auto manufacturers. Several months ago, Ford announced similar job cuts. GM this time announced basically they're phasing out all sedans like the Chevy Cruze, the Impala, the Buick LaCrosse, and they're going to shut down idle 5 plants. And idling is different from shutting down. They could always reopen them, but it's going to displace about 5,800 production workers. And as part of this $6 billion, a cut of employees, they're also going to lay off over 8,000 white-collar employees. And that's on top of offering severance packages to other white-collar employees for the last 3 or 4 months. So all in all, GM is looking to cut about 15% of its U.S. workforce.
And with the reduction in the productions of the sedans, are we going to see other car makers doing the same thing? What is this saying about trends with consumers?
Well, what's interesting, there's a couple things that are working here. There's been a general decline in demand in new cars. So generally at about 16 million new cars a year, these plants are running at full tilt. However, we're seeing that demand has been declining down to about 15 million cars by 2020. And where it's being impacted is family sedans. So consumers are buying, it used to be 1 in 4 cars sold was a sedan, like an Impala or a Toyota Camry, and now only 15% of that. And General Motors and Ford in particular have lost a bigger share of those. So for example, in the last year, companies like Hyundai, Toyota have cut back production about 10%, but the unit loss at General Motors for the cars that they're shutting down are from 11 to 30%. So they're being impacted by the tariffs on steel and aluminum, and with the decline in production, it's costing them a lot more to make these cars. And they're making big decisions to kind of shift out because consumers are actually buying a lot more SUVs, crossover vehicles, and light trucks, and that's what GM and Ford are really going to focus on for the North American market.
And shifting gears, one of the nation's largest pharmacy chains has actually bought one of the nation's largest health insurers. So what does the $70 billion merger of CVS and Aetna mean for consumers?
You know, this is actually an interesting one to watch because this is kind of an effort at really revolutionizing healthcare. What this merger does is CVS has been kind of a leader at really rethinking delivering healthcare to patients. They have 10,000 CVS pharmacies across the country. 1,100 of these pharmacies have a minute clinic. So if you have a cold, a flu, you can go in and be looked at by a nurse or a doctor that's on staff. You can get your medicine and you're on your way. Their goal in this merger is to kind of make healthcare local and more accessible. They're looking to make it easier for consumers to access healthcare, and they're looking to lower costs. And what they're doing is they're going to save about $750 million in this merger, and they're going to apply it to providing better services at the minute clinic. So they're going to look at now, instead of just simple things, they're going to look at chronic illnesses like diabetes. They're going to look at more complex illnesses like kidney disease and treat them right there in that CVS store with doctors. And as opposed to you going to a doctor or a specialist or somewhere else, you can go here. And the combination with Aetna, what makes it really exciting is now all these Aetna customers can actually go and use their insurance at the minute clinic, not just at their doctors. So it's a big deal. And the last thing, CVS being a pharmacy, is this is going to really improve their leverage in negotiations with the big pharma companies to hopefully lower drug prices.
Now on to San Diego-based Jack in the Box, a fast food favorite for many folks. Many media outlets, including the Union Tribune, are reporting that Jack in the Box is possibly interested in selling. What's going on?
You know, this is an interesting thing. This has been brewing for the last couple of months. Back in October, the Franchise Council of Jack in the Box, representing 2,100 out of almost 2,400 units, voted a vote of no confidence of the current CEO, Leonard Kama. So this is a major deal. Additionally, on top of the franchisees not being happy, investors are not happy. The 2 big private equity firms they're investing in Jack in the Box, Blue Harbor and Jana Partners, have been in negotiations with Jack in the Box management to make changes to the way they go to market. One of the problems that Jack in the Box has is they're kind of in no man's land. They're a big organization. They have 2,400 stores in 21 states. but some would argue that that's not big enough to really compete against the McDonald's of the world. And so you have the last year, a lot of smaller regional chains like Sonic was purchased by Inspire Brands, which owns Arby's and Buffalo Wild Wings. So Jack in the Box, by being sold to somebody, could actually help Jack in the Box expand, because Jack in the Box has been one of the true innovators in the industry. They've done a lot. They were one of the first to do all-day breakfast. They do a lot of innovative sandwiches. And what the franchisees are saying is that since the CEO's taken over, the chief marketing officer left, the ad agencies have changed, and they haven't seen the marketing support, and they haven't seen sales increase. So this is a big deal to watch, and but investors are very excited. The stock price went up 6%.
Miro Copic, thank you for helping us make sense of it.
Thanks, Ebony.